Town That Dreaded Sundown is a slasher film that came out in 1976 and is directed by Charles B. Pierce. So The Town That Dreaded Sundown is a $50 patron request from Brandon Smith yet again. I came out with 2 of his patron requests back to back because this is a patron request from him that is long overdue. I got really busy with a lot of bullshit and I couldn't really get this video out when I was supposed to. So both of these videos, both 28 Days Later and The Town That Dreaded Sundown, are both of Brandon Smith's patron requests. And when Brandon Smith requested this, honestly, I never heard of this film. I've never heard of this film. I'm surprised that no one has ever really told me about it. Because I heard that this is one of the first slasher films ever made. I'm sure it's not the first, but I heard it was kind of like one of the pioneers to the slasher genre. So knowing that before going into it, I was like, alright, how bad could this really be? At the very least, this could be insightful in terms of what people considered to be a slasher film back in 1976. I believe Halloween came out 2 years later, 1978. So I think that was like really the big iconic slasher film that everybody knows today. Obviously that's for a reason. It's a pretty great film. So yeah, with all that taken into account, I went into this film. It was free on Amazon Prime and I was like, okay, let's dive into this thing. And I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. This movie blows. I did not like this movie at all. There's so much about this film that just does not work at all. And I'm sorry, Brandon Smith. I know that you like this film, but this just wasn't my cup of tea at all. I don't think like every second of this film is atrocious, but as a whole, this is just not a good film at all. First off, this film tries to capitalize on an actual historical event. Apparently, the story behind The Town That Dreaded Sundown is a real story. And the actual serial killer or the serial murderer is still never found. There was like pretty much no justice brought from this whole case. But this film takes this weird voiceover narration, documentary style approach to it that feels like it just comes in and out randomly, and it just doesn't work at all because it doesn't really have any style behind it. It's just kind of like forced in there to, I guess, trick people into thinking that, oh, this is really authentic, but it's just not immersive because there's no like charisma. There's no charisma in this entire film, by the way. Like there is like no personality behind the camera. Pretty much everything about it is stale. And when it comes to the slasher aspect itself, I couldn't even really enjoy that either because I feel like it just flopped on a lot of different things. First of all, the slasher himself wasn't really presented in a genuinely menacing way. The slasher was kind of goofy and overexpressive at times. Like you see him like breathing really hard through that sack over his head. That just seems really dramatic and obviously just there to be like, to look scary and appear really menacing, but it just doesn't work. And again, I just feel like he comes off too expressive, like to the point where it's just comical and corny. And that was just like, I found this movie more hilarious in its faults than actually feeling like it was genuinely scary. Like I feel like an effective choice that was made in John Carpenter's Halloween is that Michael Myers is really a subtle kind of slasher. Like he doesn't express pretty much at all. He just seems like this really like unstoppable force to be reckoned with and doesn't really have this like human element to him that is noticeable. And I think that's something that was really effective in his character because it just comes off like something that is unlike anything that we would consider to be like a genuine human being that has feelings. And in this film, he just kind of comes off as like this sadistic goofball. And not in the cool way, like the way Freddy Krueger is in A Nightmare on Elm Street, to where he's just like incredibly cynical and sarcastic about everything and kind of toys with his victims. He's not nearly as charismatic or as menacing as somebody like Freddy Krueger. And the sadism in this film just feels like really silly and forced. Even if that trombone scene, by the way, the trombone scene, I heard about the trombone scene before going into this, and I thought like, okay, that might be like the saving grace of the film. Like at least I'll get something out of that. No. That scene just did not work for me at all. It was kind of even hard to see what the hell was happening or even know what was happening just because of the way that it was directed and put together.
Oh no, please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me.
But it just came off like silly and forced and just was not for me.
Please don't hurt me.
And the pacing is really awful too. Like there's I swear to God, there was a good like 30 minutes. It felt like 30 minutes of the film where we're just getting character interactions that we just don't give a shit about because the film gave you no reason to really care besides the fact that there's a killer on the loose. We get so much of that and it takes forever to get to like anything that is, supposed to be horror. And then when that comes, it's just kind of random as well and it's not really presented in a way that feels genuinely suspenseful. And all the murders in this film and all the people that the slasher goes after, you don't have any attachment to. They're just random people. So whenever there's a scene that comes up of the serial killer trying to murder somebody, it's just some random dumb person. And it's just like, why am I supposed to care about this scene? Because he's about to kill someone? That's not enough. Like, I need some sort of attachment. Maybe like an opening scene or something of random people, that's fine, but it's literally every single person that gets murdered in this film is just some random character, some random goofy, irresponsible character. And the tone is just all over the place. There were like these random comedic moments in this film that were just like, okay, there's like this whole comedy skit moment that lasted like 15 minutes. And I was just like, what was the point of that? Like, it just completely took away any atmosphere that you thought you had. And now you have these like drawn out comedic sketches that are completely unnecessary. And it's also insanely predictable. Like, there's a moment where you're like an hour into the film and there's somebody that's like, yep, it was me. I'm the killer. And it's like, and the movie kind of just like expects you to buy that. And then later when it's revealed that he's not the killer, it's like this big surprising moment. And it's like, yeah, no shit. Like, there's like 40 minutes left of the film. Like, what did you expect me to believe? But, either way, yeah, this movie did not do it for me. There's a lot about this film that I did not like. I think it's really drawn out. It's boring. There's no sense of style or atmosphere to this film at all. Not even the slasher was presented in this like genuinely menacing way. Came off a lot more comical than anything, which is really unfortunate. Tone is all over the place. Random comedic sketches that are there for absolutely no reason except to, I guess, liven up the atmosphere and get the audience to like be entertained by something, I guess, because surely nothing else is really entertaining about this film. But yeah, this film just really didn't work for me. There was moments of slow motion that I'm like, okay, look, they're trying with something. But it wasn't even like it just seemed random. Like, it's kind of like randomly threw in slow motion. Maybe like in the ending where they're trying to like catch the serial killer through like these train tracks, there was like random sporadic uses of slow motion. I guess it was kind of cool, but again, it just like, it felt really out of place and forced, but I don't know. This movie didn't really do much for me. I really disliked it. I get that it's like one of the first of its kind and everything, but I'm sorry. I mean, when Halloween came out 2 years after this and pretty much does everything right that this film did wrong, it's kind of hard to really give this film that much credit. But either way, I'm going to give The Town That Dreaded Sundown a 2 out of 10. Yeah, this film didn't do it for me. I don't recommend it at all. It's on Amazon Prime for free. I mean, if you want to torture yourself for an hour and a half, go ahead, but this was definitely not my cup of tea, and I would really not recommend anybody to watch this film unless you just want to watch a shitty movie when you're hammered or something. But I'm sure just from everything I've said, if anybody that's from the older generations are watching this, I'm sure that they just absolutely hate my guts and just think I'm some sort of cynical youngster who just doesn't understand the impact of this film. But whatever.
Please don't hurt me.
Either way, those are my thoughts on The Town That Dreaded Sundown. If you really enjoyed what I had to say about it, please give us a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.